Mike, where do you weigh in on Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette sitting out these bowl games?
Man, I'm split on this, Dan. You know, I really am. As I gotten older, I understand the side of business and everything, and making a decision that's best for you in the future. But I'm kind of old gut too. You know what I mean? I got a commitment to the guys, 45 guys that are on the football team that are out here each week, and that's kind of what make us do what we do. Is the commitment that we make one to another. So I'm definitely split.
But if you could have come out after your junior year, right?
I did come out after my junior year,
Okay.
but I graduated after my junior year, and I left school early, and I finished the season.
Okay.
Of course, I was playing for national championships.
That would help there.
That's a little
you
different.
weren't. If you were playing in the Sun Bowl, would you?
Yeah.
And you were guaranteed to be a first-round draft pick. Now, I know it's different now than it was back then because nobody was doing it, and there's so many more bowl games now. But, you know, you wanted to take care of your family, and Lord knows your family could use the help back then. If you knew that you could do that and make sure that you wouldn't get hurt, would you, play in a bowl game that didn't mean anything as opposed to the national title game?
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand that side of it. But the baseline of what we do as a football team, as football players, is a commitment to one another. And that commitment has been broken there. And I'm sorry, that disturbs me. I understand what they're doing. But the baseline of what we're doing out here together is the commitment to one another. And that's the thing that's been woven through each championship team I've had. And I've been fortunate enough to play on is a commitment. One man to another, I would get my job done, and I would do my job. That's all I know. And that disturbs me. No matter what, you can tell me how great of a business decision, and they can have 16 brothers and sisters waiting just like I had waited with their hands out saying, hey, baby, you're the stock that matured. All of that I understand. Mm-hmm. But the baseline is the commitment, and that still disturbs me.
Well, we don't have a problem with coaches leaving.
Yeah.
They quit on the entire team. What if
and that's why sometimes in a huddle when you get to the guy, you either say to the guys, hey, this is about us.
Yep.
I don't care about the coaches. I don't care about the GM. I don't care about anything. This is about us on this football field right now. I've said that a lot of times to my teammates because that's what it's about. It's about us. They are not out here running routes. They're not out here throwing the ball. They're not out here blocking. They're not out here running the ball. It's about us, and that's just what it is.
He's Michael Irvin, the Hall of Famer. Thursday Night Football continues this week. Giants-Eagles on NBC, the NFL Network, and this Sunday the Ravens play the Steelers at 4:30 Eastern on the NFL Network. You remember your first paycheck with the Cowboys?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you do with that?
You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear, man. Listen, you don't want to hear.
Now I do, Mike.
Okay, listen. I got my first little signing bonus. I left that check on the counter at the house forever. My people were calling me every day, man, you got to send in the check. Michael, send in the check. Mike, we're losing interest on this. I said, you're losing interest. Everybody walks in this house and sees that check. I'm getting a whole lot of interest. I don't know what you're talking about. I left that thing on the counter, and everything that walked in that house walked in. And yeah, when they saw that, things got real easy. It was nice.
So the brothers and sisters, you put the check on the counter so your brothers and sisters could see that kind of money.
It wasn't my brothers and sisters coming in my house at that time. No, sir, Bob.
Oh.
No, sir.
Oh.
It was other people coming in at the time, and they had to see it.
Oh.
And yeah, it was. I was young, Dan. I was young.
I wish I would have known you back then.
I was young.
How would I have done with you if I was your partner?
You don't kill me, man. I must have been the brokest dude in the world, and they gave me a check like that. Are you joking? It was with that many zeros behind it. There was no way I was running that right to the bank without showing it off first. So I showed it off for a while.
I brought this up before you came on about the celebration with Ezekiel Elliott in the Salvation Army bucket. Odell Beckham Jr. said he would have been fined if he did the same thing, and I do agree with him. Do you think that it would have been different with ODB as opposed to Ezekiel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that was a great. I like what Ezekiel did because it's such a time we're in the holiday season and everybody's talking about passing out gifts and all of these things, and he brings attention to some people that are less fortunate than us. That's a cool thing. But I'm with Odell too. I believe he would have been fine too. It's just what it is when it comes to Odell. He smiles on the sideline, and that's all we're talking about. No matter how many bad balls Eli may throw during that game. So I believe he has a point there. Right? I believe he has a point.
If I said you could have the future of ODB, Julio Jones, or Antonio Brown?
They're all heaven. What difference will that make? They're all heaven right there.
If we had a draft right now, Mike.
You got to give me something that's
You got the first
heaven.
pick. You got the first pick. I got the second pick.
Out of those guys, which one I'm drafting first?
Yeah.
I probably Julio because of his size.
Yeah.
And he is as fast as any of them with that size, But each one of them have such great skill sets, man. They're phenomenal receivers, man. Odell's just a beast. I mean, and Antonio Brown is also. So either one, you can't lose. But just given on a draft, I'm probably going to go for size if I still have the speed and Julio Jones.
Do you think the gloves are unfair, an unfair advantage, a performance enhancer?
No, but there's no doubt that the gloves help. But we don't, because of the gloves, we don't need to underestimate what we're seeing. With these guys, that stuff that Odell does and warm up, catching the ball with one hand. Dan, we never tried that. We never even tried it, let alone thought about doing it. Our one-hand catches were not snatching them out of the air. They were knocking them back down to you. You put up the one hand and knock the ball back to you. You never put the one hand up and snatch the ball right there between heaven and earth. You never did that. These kids are doing it now. And think about this, man, when you grew up. 3, 5, 6, 7 years old, you get to play organized ball. When I was growing up, at 5, 6, 7 years old, you didn't play organized ball. And when you went to the park to play a basketball court, they said, boy, sit your butt down. You ain't ready to play yet. You couldn't even play with these guys. So, you're getting early training to develop all of those skill sets, those one-hand catches and all of that. So I understand what people talk about when they talk about the gloves, but let's not take credit away from the gift that these kids have and the talent that they've worked on to do the things that we're seeing Odell Beckham and those guys do.
Oh, I'm just saying that we outlawed Stickum, but if you've ever, you put on these gloves, they can make you a little better wide receiver because there's Stickum on these gloves, but they're not going to allow you to have Stickum the way Lester Hayes had it, but these gloves have that tacky feeling on them.
Yeah, they do, and they didn't allow you to wear Stickum, and Jerry Rice, I didn't have on Stickum and all of that stuff, and we could put all that out there, but it's still.
But how did Jerry use the Stickum, Michael? Because
I don't know. That was some Jerry threw out. I get on my timeline on my social media and stuff. I don't want to indict Jerry Rice, and then people say I'm just trying to knock off the GOAT. He is the GOAT. That's just I get that stuff all the time too. People asking about Stickum and me. Jerry cheated a million years ago. I was like, stop it, people. Stop it. That stuff was not policed like it is right now.
Better at a younger age, Emmitt or Ezekiel Elliott?
A great question. That's a great question. I mean, Ezekiel has that fifth gear in speed that I don't think that Emmitt did not have, but Emmitt had balance beyond anybody, man. And both of them were great at young. I don't know if you can determine better or not, but I'll tell you this. I'll say it this way. The offensive line Emmitt had was never considered great prior to Emmitt Smith. It was just a bunch of boys playing offensive line. And then Emmitt came, and they became one of the greatest offensive lines in the history of the game. Now, the offensive line Zeke had, they were great before he got there.
What do you think of Jerry?
Man, that's a great explanation, Mike Irvin. Where did that come from? Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Wait a minute. Hold on, guy. Round of applause for Michael Irvin there.
Well, thank you, Dan. Those Dan Ants should have chimed right on in, right on point, too. They should have recognized that and just sucked that up. They think, okay, there you are.
They're basically my offensive line, Michael.
Yeah, but tell them it's okay to clap when somebody else comes in with a good bang. They can't just clap for you only, Dan.
I forget what I was going to ask you now. Oh, that's right. I remember. Do you have a problem with Jerry Jones admitting that he sort of manipulate the media with this Tony Romo situation, that he's kind of poking fun, prodding us, trying to get a reaction out of us?
No, well, I don't have a problem with it, and you can't have a problem with it. He is the BOSS, you know what I'm saying? So anybody within the Cowboy organization can have a real problem since he's the BOSS. But what he does do is he's a businessman. He knows it's about supply and demand. And if you have a demand for his supply and you think he wants his supply, then it makes his supply worth more. So if you think he wants Tony Romo, it makes him worth more. If you think he's going to get rid of him, you sit back and wait. So it's all business. You started this whole conversation out saying, I understand guys doing business, but now when it comes to the billionaire, the BOSS, all of a sudden, you don't understand it, Dan. Don't put yourself in your own trap.
Yeah, but I don't think this is business. I think Jerry's his own worst enemy. If we're going to look at the BOSS, it's not like he was a great boss in figuring out Dak Prescott was going to be his quarterback. They did everything they could to try to get somebody else. They stumbled into that.
Dan, stop.
Mike.
Let's stop. That is the process that every team goes through when it comes down to evaluating players. So now to try to take credit away from them getting Dak Prescott, saying they stumbled up on Dak Prescott, when the draft is the process. Everybody has one player, two players, three players, four players.
They were interested in Carson Wentz. They tried to trade up desperately for Paxton Lynch. They thought about Johnny Manziel a couple of years ago.
Have you talked to the people over in Mississippi? They were the only ones that really had interest in Dak Prescott. So they were saying, we see something in him. We're the only ones that see something in him. See, we see one side, we tell one side of the story, and we don't deliver the other side, and it makes it seem like it's something other than what it is. The process by which they went to get Dak Prescott, all 31 other teams went by the same process to get every player they got. They had a player on the board they wanted, and then they got the player that they got. Now, when he turns out great, do we keep saying you really didn't even want this guy? No, they went through the process.
They waited for the fourth round, Mike. If they wanted him, they would have taken
Tom Brady for the sixth. What are we saying? So we got to take credit away from New England for getting Tom Brady in the sixth?
No, they accidentally fell into Tom Brady. Absolutely. I don't think anybody's...
Oh, man. Oh, no, they didn't fall into him. They picked him. He was there. They picked him.
The sixth round, though.
They picked him at the value that was given to the market, not just the value they have to him. We were doing business, Dan. Remember, we started this with business. So even if they love Dak Prescott, should they take him in the first round when he'll be there in the fourth? You see what I'm saying? Come on.
Then you run the risk of somebody else taking him, and then that brilliant business decision. And so was it a smokescreen that you were all in on Paxton Lynch? And until the Broncos swooped in and got him, you were taking him? So
no, I'm not saying
so they would have taken Paxton Lynch, Mike, and they would have missed out on the best quarterback in the draft. That doesn't make any sense.
You're basically saying, Dan, if they got 7 draft picks, they ought to only evaluate the 7 guys that they really want. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about just the 7 guys that you really want, and which makes no sense, Dan. It makes no sense. You have to evaluate the players you have interest in and then get them according to how you can get them best on the draft. And that's the process that team went by. I don't know why we're hopping on that.
I don't know either. We'll just disagree on it. I think the Cowboys lucked into Dak Prescott, and they would have taken Paxton Lynch.
They lucked into this offensive line. They lucked into Ezekiel Elliott.
No. They didn't luck into Ezekiel Elliott. I said that was the right pick at the time. I loved it. But they lucked into Dak Prescott, Mike, and you know it, and there's no reason for you to acknowledge it publicly because then Jerry will call you and yell at you, and I don't want that to happen.
That's not true.
No, I understand it, Mike. I understand it. I understand it, Mike. I understand it.
I'm not acknowledging that.
Don't worry. Hey, you know what, Mike, the BOSS doesn't affect me at all, but he might affect you.
The BOSS doesn't stop me from saying what I'm saying, but I have a duty to educate, to crack your craniums and fertilize your brain, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Mike, I am Ronnie Lott, and you just came over the middle, and it's not pretty.
Oh, come on, D. I gave you good stuff here, D.
Take the loss like a boss. It's a loss like a boss. And you know what? I take out the O and the S when it comes to Jerry. It's just B and S there. Just B and S. Mike, I keep it real by keeping it real.
You take out the O and the S and just leave the B in there. So you're a trip, buddy. You all right with me?
Thank you, Mike. Remember, it's just business.
All right, D. All right, guys.
That's Michael Irvin, the playmaker.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.